Good evening, everyone. Hey, and welcome to another Live with Beef. I'm Chef Jason from my friends at the Colorado Beef Council. Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight here in the kitchen. Now, housekeeping notes as we always go through. Be sure to visit my friends at Colorado Beef Council over at cobeef.com. That's cobeef.com. That's the Colorado Beef Council website. A lot of cool things you can find there, including the beef locator map. So if you're looking for amazing Colorado beef for your fridges, freezers, bellies, head over there. That will connect you with a local rancher producer that has beef by the quarter, by the half, by the whole, maybe even boxes and different cuts that you can buy as well. But head over to cobeef.com. A lot of cool information over there. And then don't forget to visit beefitswhatsfordinner.com. I'm not sure why I'm getting tongue-tied, but beefitswhatsfordinner.com. Over on beefitswhatsfordinner.com, a lot of cool things over there as well, including you can go in and let's say you're looking for ways to cook flank steak. You can go into their search engine area, type in flank steak, it'll bring up information about the cut, information about where it comes from, as well some great recipes featuring that flank steak. So head over there to cobeef.com, find the beef locator map. Head over to beefitswhatsfordinner.com. A lot of cool content, recipes, and more. And then, as always, a very big thank you to my friends, all of the ranchers and producers in Colorado who support the Beef Council, who support our live events every single month for you. Now, this month we are talking show-stopping spring meals, but above and beyond show-stopping spring meals, think about this meal as a one-stop shop for everything. Easter was just here. We celebrated Easter at our house with tri-tip. So we did beef tri-tip for Easter, but Mother's Day is coming up. Father's Day is coming up. A lot of cool spring events are coming up. And then as we get into summer, obviously Father's Day in the summer. But this right here, this recipe is, if you could smell what it smells like here in the kitchen, studio kitchen, you would be amazed. The fresh coriander seed that we chopped, the roasted pistachios, the smell of that beef, out of control. Definitely out of control. So this recipe tonight, we're basically doing pistachio-crusted beef rib roast, and we're going to do a wine sauce. It says holiday wine sauce, but think about it as a wine sauce. Now, this just came off my Traeger, so we're actually going to let it rest back there, and let's talk through how we got the beef to that point. In this recipe, which you can grab in the description section, we've got the recipe for you there. That is our recipe of the day. This is our crusted beef rib roast with holiday wine sauce. Absolutely amazing. Crusted with pistachios, coriander, some thyme, fresh black pepper. I also used olive oil, tiny touch of salt, just to add a little bit of salt. So great recipe here that you can grab over at beefitswhatsfordinner.com. And make sure you get all the ingredients together. We've got, let's go over the seasoning. The seasoning, right? We're going to do pistachios. We're going to do some coriander seed, which is a seed for cilantro. Boy, I'll tell you what, though. We actually pounded some of this with a meat mallet, that guy right there, to break it up. And it breaks the hull, and you get this crunchy, crackly little hull. But the coriander literally comes alive when you rough chop it. Bright, citrusy, lemony, and just amazing. So we've got that coriander for you. We've got some fresh chopped thyme. We're going to do some olive oil as well. And then right here, we have some fresh ground pepper. And I also have some salt, just in case you wanted salt. Now, we're also going to make a wine sauce for this tonight too. And I'm using beef broth. I'm using some cooking wine, just a Cabernet. Actually, that's a Merlot, sorry. I have a little bit of cornstarch, and then I also have some mushrooms and shallots behind me. So really nice wine sauce as well. Now, the star of the show right there, that is our prime rib or rib roast. Prime rib does not denote its grade. A lot of people think when you get prime rib, you are getting prime, but actually they call it prime rib because it is one of the 9 primal cuts of beef on the animal. So we actually have a choice prime rib. And I went with boneless. The recipe does say bone in. I feel like I wanted to go boneless on this because I also did another little shift in how I cooked it. Recipe says put it in a roasting pan, put it in your oven, you're gonna roast it in the oven. Absolutely wonderful if you wanna do that. Your house will smell amazing. Your cat, your dog, any pets you have in the house will smell amazing as well. But I love beef because it is versatile. It also is versatile when it comes to picking up flavors. So think about that rib roast that you're doing. Do you want to do it in the house? You can, absolutely. Would you like to take it outside maybe and do it on charcoal where you get that deep, rich charcoal flavor? Do you want to do a traditional smoker or do you want to do a pellet grill or gas grill? I did this on the pellet grill, so I did this on the Traeger. What I also mean about its versatility and adaptability, this loves big, bold flavors. Beef loves the flavor of charcoal. Beef also loves hickory and mesquite, post oak. So today we did a hickory and oak blend out on the pellet grill, and that is why I went boneless today, because I wanted to get really that penetration of smoke flavor, 360 degrees. I wanted to not have the beef preventing the smoke from getting in the bottom, the sides, the top, the back, the front, everything. So we went with boneless, and I'm not going to do any trimming to this. You can if you want. If you look right here in the front at the tail piece, you can absolutely trim that. And now that I look at it, I think I am going to trim about half of that off. It's not something that I would save. Maybe there's a little bit on here you could potentially save if you wanted to turn that into ground beef, but really I'm just trying to trim a little bit of that tail off, almost to make it more clean, if you will, for how it's trimmed. But I want to get that ready, get a little tail off of there so I have maybe more flavor getting in there. But I'll tell you what, if I left that whole tail on there, I'm gonna have a pretty large piece of fat that, yes, will render some, will pick up some flavor, but pretty large piece of fat. This will be really nice because it actually will render down quite a bit and still be, in my opinion, a beautiful, edible, wonderful piece of meat. So I always like to cover my board. I just have some parchment paper that I covered my board with. I've got that beef pretty well prepped. I don't need to do anything else to it other than let's go ahead and get in here and make our seasoning. So I'm gonna grab a bowl up here. I want to let that beef sit out for just a little bit to temper, if you will. I don't want it to sit out for a specific time, hour, whatever, maybe maximum half hour. I'm just trying to temper it a little bit. So gather your ingredients, get the beef out, cut it out of the package, trim that tail a little bit, let it sit while you are mixing the seasoning mix for it. So let's start off with seasoning. It calls for a 1/4 cup of coarsely crushed coriander seeds. Now, I went with a 1/4 cup of the seed itself and then crushed them. So I have a 1/4 cup of whole coriander seed that I then went ahead and crushed. I'm gonna add in a little bit of that fresh black pepper. I'm gonna add a teaspoon in there, add a little bit more if you'd like. And I literally just ground this fresh. So it was sitting in my, I have a pepper mill behind me here. I actually just ground that fresh today, came out perfect. Pistachios, a couple different ways you can do the pistachios. I put the coriander in a bag, beat them up with a meat mallet, got those broken up really, really nice. Pistachios, you can absolutely do the same way. I decided I was not gonna do that for you because it's really, really loud as well. So let's get a 1/2 cup of shelled pistachios out here. And we look about like that. So I just went with roasted and salted. It does say unsalted in there. The reason I went with salted is that's a big piece of meat. I wanted to make sure I had enough salt in there to really add some flavor to the meat. So I went with a little with roasted and salted. Now I'm just gonna go through here and rough chop them. And as you can see, I'm kind of making myself just a little lineup of pistachios here. And I'm just going through them roughly. I'm not looking for anything specific, not trying to turn it into dust, but I'm just trying to take some of those larger pistachios and turn them into smaller pistachios. This is, I'll tell you, if you love pistachios, this is a fantastic recipe because those pistachios add a ridiculous amount of flavor in here. So let me see what we have here. Yeah. So one of the things I noticed on the recipe, because we're doing it in the oven, the recipe calls for this in an oven. It says to put the seasoning on, put it in your roasting pan, and let it go in your oven at 350 degrees. Because I did it on the grill and I adjusted today's recipe to do it on the pellet grill, I felt that I wanted to put the crusting on a little bit later. For me, it was important while I was cooking this to get some of that flavor of the pellet grill into the meat. So I didn't put the crust on there because I wanted to just pound it, hit it, crush it with some of that beautiful rich smoke flavor as well if you're doing charcoal. So I put the crust on about halfway through, but we're gonna prep this to show you how to do it as if you were putting it in your oven. And I think that makes the most amount of sense. But your adjustment or chef's tip of the day, if you're going to do it on your smoker, you're gonna do it on a grill, you're gonna do it over charcoal in pellet, you can wait on that crusting until about halfway. That way it makes sure you get a really nice coat of smoke on there. You get some smoke flavor in there and you'll be good to go. Now, once I get it chopped up, you can always go through with your knife and just roughly go through it again. But I didn't want to go too fine. I just wanted to go kind of rough, and that's what we accomplished right there. So now that those are done, I'll wipe my knife off here, back in there, my little bench scraper. Into the bowl with the coriander goes our pistachios. You know, as we always say too, as you're watching this video, don't forget to leave us some comments, ask your questions in the chat section. We'll always come back and get those answered for you. And then share it with your friends too. Let your friends know that you found some cool content from the Colorado Beef Council on YouTube. All right, coriander is in, check. We have the pepper in, check. We have the pistachios, and now we're gonna add the thyme. So fresh thyme is worth its weight in gold. I know what you're thinking, but I got a little thing of dried thyme at home. It's already there, I wanna use it. Dried thyme just doesn't taste as beautiful and bright and fresh as fresh thyme does. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to roughly pick some of the thyme off. It's calling for 2 tablespoons of finely chopped thyme. I'm actually just pulling some of the thyme leaves off, and I actually have some of the thinner, finer stems as well. I'm okay leaving those on. I think those add a ridiculous amount of flavor. So I'm just going through here and taking some of that out and adding some flavor. Again, anytime you get into those thick, woody parts, those are going in the garbage because we don't need them. I picked the leaves off and we are good. All right, now that cut up there as well. I haven't added any salt yet, so I'm going to probably add just a little touch of salt. I did add some Malden salt, which is one of my sea salts that I like to use. I might add just a teaspoon of salt, a little bit more. All right, just to add a little bit of extra flavor in here. I'm very sensitive to under-seasoning the beef, so I want to make sure that I added some more seasoning in here just to give it a good overall flavor. So now we're going to add in the 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. I'm just using some of the Graza, one of my good olive oils I like to use. So 1,000, 2, 1,000, done. Trying to make a nice paste out of this. So what I'm going to do now is bring that chunk of prime rib back up. My guess is that is about a 6-pound piece of prime rib. Like I said, the recipe calls for bone in, so you'll have to take into consideration the bones add a little bit of weight too. This is 6 pounds of beef. So I don't have any bones in there because I wanted to put it on the smoker. If you're doing it in the oven, which we're showing you how to season it for the oven, bone in or boneless, absolutely up to you as well. So that's your call. There you go. Look at that. I'm going to go ahead and start adding my crust on there, and I'm going to put a little bit on the top and get that started. Then I'm going to add some to the sides as well. Just get that all packed on there. Start getting that flavor doing its thing. Don't worry about if anything falls off. We're still okay. I'm not too worried about that. We're still in a really good place. So go ahead and put that on there as well. And listen, if you want to chop this finer, you're worried about it sticking, absolutely you can chop it finer. I'm not worried about it. I want to get that crust right where it's at, and everything is just going to melt and come right across that rib. Oh, it's going to be so good. So, get my gloves off here. Now, while this is sitting, I'm going to let it sit while my oven preheats and gets up to temp, while my grill, smoker, whatever I'm cooking on gets up to temp. I want to make sure everything is at the right operating temperature before I put the roast in there. So that means, everything is preheated fully. In your oven, it always beeps and tells you when it is preheated. You'll get that little beep, 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 and it tells you that it's preheated. Then keep in mind your grill doesn't. When you're on the grill, your grill basically will show you the alert that says it's reached its temperature, but leave it on for a little bit longer. Go ahead and leave it on for a little bit longer, leave it preheat a little bit longer. Meaning, once your grill or your outdoor cooking tool reaches 350 degrees, I'm gonna hold and maintain that 350 degrees for probably another 10 minutes, just to make sure the grill grate's hot enough, the grill itself is hot enough, and not just the probe reach temperature. So preheat it, hold that temperature, and then you are good to go. And then the best part is, leave it alone. Absolutely gonna leave it alone. This is probably going to take you about 3 to 3.5 hours. Ours took, let me see what time I put it on. Ours took right at 3 hours for ours. And we cooked it to our desired doneness. So obviously if you want it more well done, probably going to take a little bit longer. If you like it less well done, it will take a little bit less. We cooked ours to about a medium doneness temperature, and that came in right at that 3 hour mark. Now, if you want to put a probe in, and there's a lot of different cooking probes that you can use, especially some of those wireless probes, and there's also wired probes. So depending on what you're cooking in, if you're cooking in a pellet grill, or maybe your grill has a plug-in probe, absolutely you can use that probe. This is one of my wireless ones that I really like as well. Load that probe in there, but I want to show you where. And let's use another probe to give you kind of an idea. So I want to go right in the middle this way, and right in the middle that way. That way I know my exact doneness. So middle here, middle here. So if you look at how far you have to go in, where's the middle? Right about here. You're not looking at going in that far. You're maybe looking at, what, 1.5 inches? And then from the side, you're definitely going in probably the whole length of that probe. So try to visualize exactly where you want to go, how deep, but basically, you're going about that deep. So right there, you're probably going to go in about that deep, and then you're going to go in about the length of that. So kind of take a little measurement visually while you're getting set up, because you want to be dead center in your prime rib to get your desired doneness. And let's say your desired doneness was medium. You want to make sure that the center is cooked. Hold on a second here. You want to make sure that the center of the prime rib is cooked to your desired doneness. You're going to get a little bit more well done on the ends, but that's okay. I learned something interesting about myself the other night. We went out to dinner in Bozeman, Montana, and we went to a place that had prime rib. And, I'm sitting there, and we're kind of chit-chatting about how much we all like prime rib, and everybody at the table, there were 6 of us, we all had prime rib. And I was the only one that ordered an end cut. And they all said, wait a minute, you ordered an end cut. We never would have expected you to order an end cut. And I said, listen, I love a perfect medium piece of prime rib, but where I get the most concentrated beef flavor, end cut. And I just sat back and chuckled, because I never thought about it. I never thought, wow, that is weird. I like steaks medium. I like a big piece of prime rib medium. But for the most part, I order an end cut when they have it, because of flavor. 100% flavor. And if they've done a really good job cooking it, it comes out perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and enter this into the grill, or put it into the oven, and plug in my probe, and we are good to go. Now, it's getting close to dinner time. right? And it's time to get our sauce done because we want to have some sauce to go along with that prime rib. So let's show you how to make the holiday wine sauce, or as I like to call it, wine sauce. Yeah, it's a really good wine sauce. Now, pick your favorite wine. It calls for a Cabernet. I went with a Merlot only because I had a Merlot open. And it's not like I had a Merlot open here at my warehouse kitchen. I did have a Merlot open at home, so I wanted to kind of utilize something I already had. So I popped the little sealer out that I had in there, and that's what I went with. So let's get our portable little range turned on. I'm gonna go ahead and add that pan. Now we've got baby bellas or baby portobello mushrooms or cremini mushrooms, as they also call them. We've got those all set up. I am going to now add cut up the shallots. Love shallots. Dawned on me today when I ordered them, I just don't cook enough with shallots. Really, really like shallots. I'm also gonna wear a glove because I'm a hand sleeper and I don't want to smell onions tonight while I'm trying to get to sleep. Never happened. Never in a million years. I'm going to smell like beef and onions. Definitely a shower in the future, but you know, it might smell like beef or onions when you go to bed. It's not a bad thing. All right, let's get that shallot cut up. Looks like we're looking for a 1/4 cup of finely chopped shallots. Here is another opportunity for you to adjust the recipe accordingly. And I love taking a recipe and adapting it to fit more of what I like maybe or what I want. And yes, you can mince those fine so that they almost kind of melt into the sauce, or you can leave them in bigger pieces so they're part of the sauce. I'm gonna go ahead and just slice these fine, but what I'll do is I'm gonna go through here and cut them lengthwise, maybe into half the size they were. Get this guy out of my way here. All right. I'm just going to watch my temp so my pan doesn't get too hot. And now I'm going to slice them very, very thin, but I'm going to leave them a little bit bigger. Because I love these, man, shallots when they're done nice and you saute them, always have just a really good, rich, deep, concentrated, almost like garlicky, oniony flavor to them. All right, so we've got the shallots done. I have the mushrooms set right there and ready to go. So basically, I'm going to go ahead now and heat the olive oil up. Add a couple tablespoons of olive oil in there. I'm going to add my shallots first because I want to get a little more cook on those shallots before I add the mushrooms. All right. And we've got our vent open up here so we won't smell like onions too much here in the warehouse. I need a spoon to cook with. All right. Go ahead and just saute those guys around. And once they start to caramelize, and I'll tell you, these guys went nice and fast. They caramelized up beautifully. I'm going to keep going for just a minute to get them nice and caramelized. I'm not sure if you can see that, but look at that beautiful color in the pan. That is exactly what I want. So we'll let that go for just a minute, and once we get these guys where we want them, we will come back and add some stuff. I'm going to hit a little bit of salt, tiny, tiny bit of salt, now a little bit of pepper, a little bit. All right. And I'll tell you, fresh cracked pepper smells wonderful too. All right. Caramelize those up nicely. We're developing. I like shallots, again, because they have that like oniony, garlicky, but I think they're deeper, richer, and just more robust. So I want to bring that flavor out, caramelize it a little bit so it gets sugary and just beautiful. Then we're going to add our mushrooms, sliced mushrooms. Now, what you're going to notice is your mushrooms are going to start to sweat. That is okay. We want to bring all of that water in the mushroom out, which the reason I added a little bit of salt's going to help bring some of that water out of the onion as well. So, or the shallot, I mean. Then check this out. I'm going to put I'm going to put two nice sprigs of thyme in there just to add a little bit of extra flavor to it. Recipe calls for a teaspoon of fresh thyme. I'm just going to add a couple sprigs, which I like that, just a couple sprigs. Then the nice thing is, too, I can see it. I will leave the thyme in for a little bit, and then I'll pull it out. I want the thyme to be just a really nice, fragrant part of this. So we'll just get that going here. And now, if you're sitting here cooking these and you're thinking, the mushrooms need to hurry up. I need those mushrooms to speed it along. Put the cover on there. The cover will actually produce a little bit of steam and help draw the water out of those mushrooms and get them cooking much, much faster. Let's see here. We'll keep an eye on those guys. Now, let's get the rest of our stuff ready. We are going to add our Merlot, a little bit of our cooking wine. Recipe calls for a cup, so we'll add about half of that. We're going to add a cup of beef broth, and then we're also going to use a little bit of the beef broth to mix with cornstarch to to make that slurry, and that is going to make the sauce come out really, really nice. Our beef back here is doing a great job resting. I would say when you're done, take this out of your cooking tool, whether you had it in your oven, whether you had it in the smoker, your pellet grill, your gas grill, bring it into the kitchen like we have here and leave it on a drip pan so it has a chance to rest. Don't cover it. Definitely don't cover it. You want it to rest on the pan so it has a chance to cool down. If you do cover it, one of the things that will happen, be prepared that it may overcook. It's normal for some carryover cooking to occur, maybe 5 to 7 degrees, depending on, just be careful. So we're gonna add a cup of red wine. All right, and then we're gonna add a cup of beef broth. So basically we're gonna add about 3/4 of a cup of the broth, and we're gonna use the other cup to come back in. I get a lot of questions, can you use stock instead of broth? Absolutely, you can use stock instead of broth. It's not going to hurt it at all. And if you want to clean this up, and by that I mean, maybe you're thinking, I don't want salt. I'm on a low sodium diet. I don't need all that salt. Absolutely, go with a low sodium broth. Reduce your salt in there. Be super, super easy for you as well. And that'll help you meet your dietary needs. Let's see here. So cornstarch gives you that slurry, which is really nice. That's going to give you a little bit thinner, clearer sauce. Flour and butter mixed together to make a roux are going to give you a thicker sauce. I like this a lot. I like a little bit thinner sauce when it comes to this dish because it's almost like a thickened au jus versus a gravy. Gravy on this dish might be a little bit weird, and I just want to be sensitive to that, not have a chunk of gravy stuck. So add the cornstarch that it calls for, and it's saying a tablespoon. We're good. We added a good chunk in there. And then mix that up into your beef broth. And actually, I didn't add enough cornstarch. I'm going to add a little bit more. I want a little bit lighter of that. I only added 2 teaspoons about, so I want to add the 1/3. There we go. So 3 teaspoons, tablespoon. Now, what you can do while this is cooking too, and that holiday wine sauce is doing its thing, absolutely be ready to give it your quality control because that's going to be super important. So let's grab a spoon. That's it. As it works today, I'm going to use my teaspoon, clean off my cornstarch. Thought I had a spoon over here. All right, give it a quick little test. I personally think it could use a little bit more salt. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little more salt. I'm also going to add a tiny little bit of pepper, a little bit more pepper. Just trying to make this mellow, even, trying to bring the mushroom flavor out, have the mushrooms, the wine, the shallots, everything come together and make a really, really good flavor and not have it be too pronounced. Now I'm also going to go through here because I can taste the thyme, and I'm going to pick out that little sprig number 1, number 2, and where did I see the other one? There it is right there. Number 3. So now the thyme is out, And the cool part about just having the thyme go in the sprig form is that thyme is gone. Now, it has added the flavor. It is not putting any more flavor in here. We're in a really, really good spot. So we'll leave that and let it go. And now I think we are definitely ready to stir. If you make your slurry, you make your beef broth and cornstarch slurry early, right before you get ready to add it into your wine sauce, your holiday wine sauce, mix it up again. That will ensure that you do not have clumps of cornstarch sitting on the bottom of your pan. Now, you'll see that drop down quite a bit. Don't worry about it. It'll cool down. We're going to kick it back up to high. We're going to bring it to a boil, then reduce it to a simmer and let it thicken. If you excuse me, if you look at this and you think, that's not thick enough, I'm going to add more. Wait, cook it a little bit first before you add more to make sure you don't over thicken it. And this is perfect right here. This is absolutely thickening up really, really nice. I'll turn that heat down a little bit. I want to show you something. What I'm looking for, you can hear it, but what I'm looking for is, look at how nice it coats the spoon, right? See how it just kind of coats the back of the spoon and it kind of comes right off? That's what I'm looking for. I like this thin sauce. Like I said, it is like a thickened au jus. So we'll keep stirring this a little bit, make sure it is nice and hot. And then do this right before you get ready to serve dinner. That way the wine sauce is hot, the prime rib is hot, and everybody gets to enjoy a really good dinner. I like to do it before dinner and serve it hot because it's a little bit weird if this is cool and the prime rib is hot. I feel like it takes some of the heat out of the prime rib, which nobody wants to do that, right? So let's go in here and clean up a little bit of our stuff. And we're going to clean our board up quick so we can get ready to slice the prime rib. So prime rib's been resting about a half hour. I literally just took that prime rib out of the grill before we went live. So half hour is perfect time for it to rest. Look at that. And we cooked this to 125 degrees internal. Oh, it smells so good. Yeah, we cooked that to 125 degrees internal. That carried over, I would bet you, a nice, probably 7 degrees. Usually I get 5 to 7 degrees out of there, and so it finished out perfectly. Now, ready for this, the reveal? Only get to do this once live, right? If it's good, we'll just cut to commercial, or bad, if we'll cut to commercial, but look at that right there. That is, in my opinion, what it's all about. You have a beautiful cut of prime rib. You get that nice crust on the top. And then when you go to serve it, make sure, I'm going to scrape this off with the crust and put that on the plate as well. And then top it with some of the holiday wine sauce. That right there is a recipe you can use now. Get this for Father's Day. Use it on Mother's Day. Use it on any of your spring events. But this is definitely something you want to get out into rotation because it is an excellent, excellent menu. Now, like I always said, be sure to head over to cobeef.com, Colorado Beef Council website. Over on cobeef.com, you'll find recipes, you'll find tips and advice, and also the Colorado Beef locator map that will show you where you can get Colorado beef for your fridge, freezer, belly. And then also over there, you'll find lots of cool videos. You'll find a bunch of great information. We also have a lot of cool things about student nutrition, kind of how to feed that student athlete. So head over to cobeef.com, and then you can always find today's recipe in the description section. You can find it on the Colorado Beef Council Facebook page, and you can also find it at beefitswhatsfordinner.com. My friends over at Beef It's What's for Dinner have so many amazing recipes to share and a lot of cool things. You can go into that search engine, type in flank steak or ground beef, and it'll pull up a lot of different recipes to use ground beef, to use flank steak, and give you a lot of identification or information about the cuts as well. So there you have it. Hey, once again, I'm Chef Jason. For my friends at the Colorado Beef Council, thank you very much for hanging out with us. Stay tuned. Listen, it's April. May's coming. May is coming quick. And May is going to be all about burgers. So we are going to do live in the parking lot. We've done it once or twice before. We are going to put up some curtains so that nobody can see us because we don't want to make burgers for the whole neighborhood. But I'll tell you, we are going to go live in the parking lot and we're going to have a blast doing some burgers on the griddle. So we're going to show you some fun ways with burgers. But May is coming and we are celebrating burgers. We're going to show you great ways to use ground beef and we're going to have a blast. I'm actually drooling because I can't wait for burger season. So thank you all very much for hanging out with us. Thanks to our Colorado ranchers and producers for their support as well. They do an amazing job putting that Colorado beef into our bellies and into our food and grocery and all of those wonderful places that we shop. So thank you very much. We'll see you in May for another Live with Colorado Beef. That's right, burger time. So we're going to have a blast making burgers. Happy cooking.